Joining us today is Melody Philhower, an accomplished procurement leader with a track record of success in strategic sourcing, cost control, and supplier management. With experience spanning Toyota and Baxter International, she has led procurement transformation initiatives that drive operational excellence and financial savings. Melody's insights on procurement analytics, supplier collaboration, and strategic negotiations will provide valuable takeaways for industry professionals and job seekers alike. Thanks so much for joining us, Melody.
Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to this.
Excellent. Well, we'll jump right into the questions. What moment in your career has taught you the most?
There have been a lot, but I would say probably what has really taught me the most is about 7 years ago, I had a supplier who was single sourced. Um, they had a particular product type across all of our lines. So one supplier providing all of this. They called me up, said, "We're having some financial difficulties. We're going to file bankruptcy. You have less than 2 months to get all of your tools out and get them qualified at a new supplier." I'd been through plenty of crises in the past, but this seemed like the biggest because it was going to impact everything we produced. So go into full crisis mode, get a team assembled. I need procurement. I need engineering. I need quality. I need operations. I need all of these people to make this happen and figure out how to resolve this issue. We went and visited 3 or 4 suppliers. Based on that, we decided there was one main supplier we wanted to go to and a secondary supplier. And then we'd set up camp. We were at the existing supplier. We were at the new suppliers. We were really hand walking through the entire process, figuring out what tool to move first, et cetera, just based on demand, what the old supplier could do, et cetera. So we were there when we were boxing up tools, when they were getting unboxed at the new supplier, getting reviewed, maybe making changes to them, hand walking through first shots, through evaluations, modifications, and then approval. We're a med device company. We can't just approve anything. It's a very thorough process. But having the people on site at both locations, being there, seeing it real time, reacting, having a very responsive supplier, we got it done. We had over 100 tools to move, which is a lot. And there was a lot in the qualification. We got it done. So it taught me, really reinforced the importance of teamwork. You all have to be pulling towards the same goal. It also reinforced the importance of thoroughly evaluating a supplier before you award them business. Looking back on it, I didn't award the supplier that went out of business, but I don't think we did a good enough job as an organization evaluating them before we gave them all that business. So you've got to do that. So we made changes in our process, quite honestly, to make sure we're doing a full vetting of suppliers. And then really about relationships. I had to have the relationships internally and then with the supplier, because we put a lot of pressure on that new supplier to make it happen. And they did it. And they're still a great supplier to us. So it was a very pivotal point in my career to bring all of that together.
That sounds like an incredible challenge.
Yeah.
So kudos.
Yeah.
When your colleagues or team members describe you, what 3 words would they consistently use?
So very funnily, I asked a few colleagues that just recently, and they came up with 3 consistent things: problem solver, detail oriented, and process driven. I think a lot of that really stems back from my initial career at Toyota. Those are all key aspects of the Toyota way. And I've just brought those forward in my career. You have to have a consistent process. It's going to change. You know, you're going to have a process and you're going to figure out a different way to do it, but you need to have a standard process. Whether you're negotiating with suppliers, you're trying to solve a problem or figure out how to move those tools, you have to have a process that you can build upon. And you got to get into the details. It can be great that you have this strategy, but if you don't have a detailed plan behind it, you're not going to be successful. And then just solving the problems. I've been thrown a lot in my time, and we always make our way through it, and we always find a solution.
Well, obviously in your first answer, that showed your problem-solving ability.
Yeah.
So outstanding.
Thank you.
Outside of your professional achievements, what passion project or personal interest has taught you skills that make you better at what you do?
So I think it would be being a mom to twins, being a working mom of twins. I went from 0 kids to 2 automatically. And really what it taught me, yes, work is important, but being present and focused for my kids has always been a priority for me. And whether that was reading to them when they were in preschool or attending virtually every single one of their sporting events, they were in 3 different sports, so that was a lot. But being there, present and focused. And that's what I really have brought into my professional life and when I'm working with my team. Multitasking is great, but I try not to do that when I'm talking to anybody on my team. Whether it's a casual conversation or we're talking about a serious problem, I think it's really important to be there, be focused, be in the moment, shut out the noise. If I don't have time for that and somebody needs to talk to me, I say, really, this isn't the right time. I've got to focus on this, and then I'll give you my undivided attention. I would much rather do that than for them to see me doing something over to the side and knowing that I'm not really paying attention to them. And I think that's made me an effective leader, and I've gotten really positive feedback from teams in the past of being there, listening, and being present.
Mm-hmm. I've worked for leaders who have not done that, and in the under the guise of efficiency, but it does really send the wrong message. So I think you're
Yeah.
spot on. Can you tell me about a mentor that's made a lot to you?
I've been very fortunate. I've had many very good mentors, but I'll go back really early in my career because this one stands out. I was new out of college, hired at Toyota to do purchasing. Didn't really know what I was doing at the time, purchasing, procurement, whatever we want to call it. But I was on a supplier visit with my manager at the time, actually. He hadn't interviewed me, so still getting to know him as a manager. We're visiting a supplier because they're trying to give a cost increase. We're driving to the supplier. He pulls out my resume. I'm a little taken aback at first. Wow, why is he pulling out my resume? But really, he was trying to get to know me. He was asking
Mm-hmm.
questions about my background, what I had learned in school, what I'd learned through my first few weeks at Toyota. We get to the supplier. It was one of my very first supplier visits. He was using it very much as a teaching moment, pointing out things that I wouldn't have recognized if it hadn't been for him showing them to me and really just walking me through what was going on. After the visit, we really talked a lot about how do we justify or push back on the supplier for the cost increase. And he was good about teaching, but also asking me. So he didn't just tell me, here's how you want to do it. He would ask leading questions and ask me my opinion. And it was that listening to me as well. So he was a teacher, he was a leader, and he got to know me. So he's one that I think I'll never forget.
I sounds like a good mentor.
Yeah.
What book or podcast has influenced you?
So funny enough, I have it sitting on my desk. It's called Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson. Really quick read. And really at the core of it, it's about change, not fearing change and trying to anticipate change. The book was introduced to me by another mentor that I had at Toyota when we were going through some organizational changes. And I've been able to go back to that story time and time again. With my career, we've had lots of organizational changes, whether it was at Toyota or at Baxter. And you just have to move. You can't stay stuck in the past. The old adage, you can't keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. That's all part of this story. And now that I'm going through a career change, it's reminded me, the past is done, move forward, better things are to come. So go with the change and try to anticipate that change as well.
I think one of my mentors as well always taught me about embracing change.
Yeah.
So I completely agree. If you could spend a day learning from anyone, living or historical, who would it be and why?
So I spent a lot of time at Toyota. I think really the person I would love to speak to is Kichiro Toyota. He really took Toyota from being a weaving company to an automotive company.
Mm-hmm.
He took all of his dad's teaching, continuous improvement, respect for people, and he took that into the automotive world and has created a wonderful company with great values, great principles. It wasn't easy for him. Reading his background and the time he was trying to launch Toyota Motor Company during the war when he had to focus on building trucks for the government versus what he wanted to do is build automotives for the people. it would be fascinating to see why he persevered, why he kept with it, and how he instilled all of his knowledge and influence into creating this company.
Fascinating, fascinating, man.
Yeah.
What do you see as the future of your industry?
So I think if we're talking med tech, I think that industry is continuously how do we evolve to reacting to what's going on around us. Caregivers are getting so many things. They're getting information everywhere. How do we consolidate that and make it easier for them? Get the information that they need in a consolidated location so that they can make the best decisions and anticipate changes that are going to happen to the patient. So really using some of the AI, some technology to anticipate what's going to happen so that they can treat the patients the way they
Hmm.
need to.
That's a great answer. So, before we wrap, is there anything that we didn't cover that you'd like to make sure we touch on?
I think we've covered most of it. I definitely appreciate the time. I've done a lot in my career. I know a lot about supplier relationships. I would love to find the right fit at a company who values the same things I do,
Hmm.
values the supplier relationship, the process of negotiation, continuous improvement.
I think that's outstanding. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm sure it won't be long before the phone starts ringing.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you.
MTMG, guidance that empowers.